Day 3. Day 3 started off exactly where you thought it would, with me finishing up Alice's design in the straitjacket. Personally, I think this design looks much better than the previous one. The previous one looked a little too cartoony, but here it looks more defined. It still looks cartoony, but there's nothing I can do about that. I added more lines where there are shadows, more lines where there are her breasts and her arms. I showed true colors here in that how the straitjacket is really confining her. Honestly, I am happy with this design now. Before, I wasn't exactly too happy, but now I am. Honestly, there were just little things that were bugging me, just little details, positions of areas, lines that were too dark or too bright, especially on the back side. Being on the back was definitely probably the hardest part out of all of this, with trying to answer questions in math class, but also trying to really get that defined back shape. I wanted to pretty much add as much detail as I could and make the character look very defined with better lines. So I was mostly just nitpicking with certain areas, certain squares that needed it fixed, and overall I think I got a pretty good design. Next, I started on the therapist's office. This would be kind of the second place you begin, as the game begins with darkness. But I decided that I was going to start on this because I knew that this was probably going to be the easiest thing to design, at least level-wise, because it's going to be so barren. The whole thing was pretty much just me placing down certain objects on top of each other in certain areas that I liked, and just adding some detail. The therapist, I had to create his own face because they didn't have one that I really liked, so I created his face. It was pretty easy, only adding a mustache and really taking away some areas of the hair and changing his clothes. Next was pretty much just me coding the rest of the time. I had no real reason to stop coding since, again, I was in class and I was finishing things up. There wasn't much design that I had, at least in the form of Alice, so I went back in and decided to create her face. This was a good thing, and I was fairly confident that what I was doing was good. I then started creating names for stuff and started placing just some basic codes in, just to make sure things were working right. I did a few tests, but I didn't really get much footage of it. That was pretty much day 3. Honestly, I felt like there could have been more that was done, but again, I was in school and I didn't really care that much. So that was day 3.